And welcome to another episode of The Focal Thought. My guest today is DJ Andre 905, aka Andre Rodriguez. How are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you? How are
Pretty
you?
good,
How
pretty
are
good.
things?
Thanks. Nice to have you on board. Haven't seen nor spoken to you in a while. And I think
Yeah, it's
once
been
we
a
met,
minute.
it was when I was, dabbling in, the realm of DJ land. And you
Yes.
were quite the DJ on the circuit. I mean, Toronto, people who might not know this has a very professional and unique club slash DJ entertainment scene. And I
Mhm.
think after Miami, it was number two in the world for most concentration of clubs in a single geographical intersection, that area of club district.
Yes,
And
yes. Yeah, actually I heard that. Yeah. So it's definitely crazy. We definitely I know now it's reduced over the years with changes in government and now new condos being put up, but we definitely still have like a few venues where we have DJs playing. So it's
yeah, and it has spread out. Like, again, people who this is, I'm going back to like the late 90s, early
the
2000s.
2000s. Yeah, correct, correct,
So
correct.
downtown Toronto, Peter Street, Adelaide Street, those intersections,
Yeah.
Spadina and Queen.
Mhm.
That was, a block maybe where all the clubs were, and the variety of clubs you could go from house to hip hop to calypso, soca to
Yeah.
dance to rock to metal
No.
to electronic music. You can go on and on. And people would
Yeah.
actually come from the suburbs, to this location. And now it's changed. Like you're saying, condos have come in, it's spread
Mhm.
out. Suburbs have their own entertainment, venues and things like that. So it's a changing landscape for Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely like a fun time and like a different time too, right? Because I mean, we even had government and we had docs and you had so many options when going downtown compared to now where like unfortunately we don't have as much options and as many choices to clubs as we did before. So
Yeah. And we were
definitely.
lucky because, it was a professional scene. And no matter what the scene was in other countries of the world, we had it here. Like we had a snapshot of drum and bass, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit of Rotterdam. And it was, it was fresh and it was current. So we're really lucky to have that as, our teaching grounds growing up. Because like, we don't have that variety today.
Yeah. No, we definitely don't now. I mean, the you know music has changed over the years and definitely so has like the demographics in terms of genres of clubs that where before I felt like you definitely had a variety where you could hear drum and bass, house, a garage, indie hip hop, indie R&B, underground rock. Compared to now, I feel we don't have as much choice musically, unless you'll have your one-off events here and there, but there's no really venues that are kind of really pushing eclectic music and just different types of music out there. So it's definitely like a different time.
Correct. And, we are seeing, snippets of music in maybe corporate gigs, right? Where they have trade shows, exhibitions, and they're
Mhm.
using music more as a soundtrack for, selling their product or, the business event that's there.
Mhm.
And that's where you come in because I mean you're a professional DJ. I remember seeing you at, maybe places like the Wilcox, which is like a resto lounge and in
Yes.
clubs and the club district circuit, the hip
Yeah.
hop circuit and even the music you produce.
Mhm.
It's very reflective of, that early 90s, late 2000, hip hop genre, right
Yeah.
before autotune and right after, Run DMC. And
Yeah.
it's actually my taste in music. If I would, to produce music, it would be something like what you're doing, which is very sort of street style hip hop, right?
Yeah. No,
But
no,
you've done
true.
all of this and, you're with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. And again, for those who don't know, it's an entertainment company and it's both professional sports and commercial real estate in Toronto, Ontario.
Mhm.
And I think it's about maybe six sports leagues that it supports, so Canada and US wide. And you're the Raptors 905 DJ, right?
Yeah, correct, correct,
The
correct.
coveted spot on the Grand Stadium. And for someone like me who'd come out, I'd probably be watching you more than the Raptors game.
Appreciate that.
But I
Yeah,
wanted to sort of
that's impressive.
translate the work that you do, in
Mhm.
the industry as a DJ slash musician, and bringing that sort of headspace and that talent and those skills
Mhm.
into the entertainment arena. And for also those who, have maybe never gone to a basketball game before, it's a very completely different experience from watching it on TV. So when you watch it on TV, there's no sort of music soundtrack except
Yeah,
for the commercials and the TV production.
correct.
And it's more based on the commentary and the game. But if you go to the actual, stadium and you watch it live, it's the exact opposite. It's almost like an entertainment production show where
Mhm.
the music and the entertainment doesn't stop. It's planned, second for second, never a dull moment, never a quiet moment.
Mhm.
And it's the interaction between production, which is at, its central face value, the game, but
Mhm.
then, games and prizes, giveaways, advertising, promotion, DJs, cheerleaders, etc., right?
Yeah,
They give
correct.
you the full spectrum of entertainment there. And it's very different from TV, which is on the quieter side because, you're focused on commentary more.
Yeah,
So I
correct.
wondered if you can maybe share some thoughts. How do you prepare for something like this versus
Mhm.
going in and, preparing for a dance club gig like Friday, Saturday night?
Yeah, so see, so for the Raptors 905, right? Pretty much, for the actual like during the game, there's two timeouts every quarter. Sometimes there are more. But pretty much I get emailed a script, and in that script, for example, the first quarter timeout, I'll be told to maybe play like a certain song because they're doing like a t-shirt giveaway. And then the second timeout, they may be having the dancers dance to like a particular song or mix. So pretty much like during the game and the timeouts, that's kind of determined for me. So I mean, sometimes I do have the autonomy of being able to choose, certain songs for certain moments. Like,
Yeah.
like they'll just say, you know what, Andre, play like a hype song to get the crowd energized, for this segment. But I mean, in terms of like, so prep, like I'll have a script emailed usually a day or two before the game, so I can kind of make sure that I have everything all set for the timeouts. And then before the game, I'm able to kind of play what I want as long as it's family friendly and it's clean edited, and there's no swearing. And then at halftime and then at the end of the game, I have autonomy to kind of play what I want. But in terms of like prepping even for that too, like I usually like in the past, I would have songs that I would say, okay, you know what, I kind of, I want to play these songs during the game, but I would just kind of go off of like the vibe that I'm feeling that day. And then just kind of mix songs, whether it be dancehall, whether it be R&B, whether it be house, Afro beats, and then just kind of, mix them all together, to like provide like the best experience for the fans attending. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, like that script, I'll just usually kind of go off of like the vibes that I'm feeling that day, and then just kind of play music based on that.
Got it. Yeah. And you have to sort of be the spark, right, between the players and the audience. Like you've almost got to, translate that energy, right, from the game to the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah. I mean, like 100%, right? Because I mean, yeah, I mean, during the game, there could be down, like there could be times where, like our team is down 20 points. So, and the fans may not obviously have the energy when your home team is losing. So you got to play maybe some songs and like records that, get the fans excited and pumped up and ready to go. And then that way they can translate that energy to cheer, more and louder for for the actual players. So that way it pumps them up. And also at the same time too, especially before the game, I'm playing for the players, especially when they run out of the tunnel. I'm playing songs that I know will pump them up and will get them in like a good mood, where I want them to be energized and ready to go. So when when that ball gets tipped off, they're ready and they're locked in, and and they're pumped up and they're ready to go. right?
Oh,
So
got it. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome. So it gets the, the mindset and the mind frame ready to go, right? Energetically.
yeah, correct, 100%, 100%.
And what's that like, playing for, the players? Because especially, basketball goes hand in hand with urban music, right? Like hip hop
Yeah,
music.
correct.
And, these players, hip hop music is not something that they just listen to. For them, it's a lifestyle, right? It's the
Correct.
culture where, some of them come from, being in the US. And not only that, they're also on par with, being friends and having relationships with, the music producers that are putting out this music as well, right?
Yeah, and the rappers putting out the songs, yeah, like 100%, 100%. It's like a culture that's intertwined, right? It's like the music and the basketball, it just kind of goes hand in hand. It's just like a natural thing because I remember years ago Drake had a line. He said, "We try to be synonymous. We want to be, or they want us to be them, and we want to, or I guess he said something like where we want to be them and they want to be us." Where basically saying how athletes get energized by certain music and songs and vice versa. Athletes come out, singers and musicians, the way that they kind of maybe have their downtime is they'll watch their favorite sports team or their favorite ball players to like maybe get inspiration for music or to just maybe it's like a hobby for them too, right? So it's definitely a world that's intertwined
Yeah, that's a
100%.
good point. It's a two-way street. It's both feeding off each other, right? The energy,
Correct. 100%.
music to sport.
100%.
And
Yes, sir.
when you're playing for these players, so
Mhm.
like at that pre-time, you're
Yeah.
energizing them up.
Mhm.
Would you play, sort of songs that they might not know? Would you ever take chances like that, or are you sort of playing, what's on their playlist as best you know? Or
Yeah, I mean, like I'll have a combination of both. I mean, like I'll play mostly songs that I know that they would know.
yeah,
Whether it be artists like as such as Drake, Future, Little Baby, NBA YoungBoy, but at the same time too, 100%. I will also play new music, whether it be from like a local artist from Canada, from our city, from Toronto, someone that they may not know, but a song that I feel fits in that pocket and fits with what I'm playing, then 100% like I'll definitely take chances. And even for other parts of the game, whether it be halftime or even end of the game, like 100% I love to support local music, and 100% if a song is good and I like it, I'll definitely try to find a way to fit it in into a game.
yeah. No, that's really good. These players, they're off the mindset too that they're always looking for new music, right? To hear and check out. And I'm sure they
Yeah.
know Toronto's an urban city from,
Yeah.
visiting here and having friends here.
100%, 100%. And and it's actually been cool that I've been able to put them on to artists over the years, that are from our city, so it's definitely like a cool thing when they, when they'll, you know, before doors open, they'll have like a shooter on practice, and sometimes they'll actually come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh, like what song did you play?" And then I'll tell them, and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's from our city, from Toronto," and like they'll be shocked.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a cool thing too to like put people onto new music, whether it be athletes, celebrities, or just fans in the crowd.
Got it. Yeah. And that's nice. I mean, you mentioned Drake and having him as, one of the, the governors in hip hop,
Mhm.
like having the status that he does up among the
Yeah,
elite of, hip hop and him
yeah,
being, Canada
yeah,
and, being at the game itself, and playing his music, that's really nice to have that touch there, right?
yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, the thing is with Drake, he's so popular. Anytime he drops a new song, everybody knows it by like everybody knows the song within like an hour or two of the song dropping, right? So it's definitely one of those things that his music has transcended like the world in that like he'll drop a song on a Thursday, and if I play it on like a Friday or Saturday at like a 9:05 game, everybody knows it, including the fans and the players, right? So it's definitely like a cool thing, and like unfortunately he's never come to like a 905 game. Hopefully in the future he does.
Yeah.
But I mean he like the music he makes is incredible and and he makes music for everybody, which is which is cool. So definitely from like the 5-year-old kid to the 85-year-old grandparent will loves his music. So it's definitely a cool thing.
Yeah, no, the music is for everyone. There's a track, for the style that you like because his composition and his production it's very varied. Even within the hip hop style that he's playing in. Um, with with your music, when you sort of playing for different crowds, and again, it's probably hip hop based, urban based, but imagine, you're playing rock tunes as well. You're playing some, some house, some techno, the
Mhm.
popular songs.
Yeah.
I remember reading once that, you sometimes have to read the crowd at these stadiums. How different is that from, reading the crowd on a dance floor at a club? Because with the club, they've come to hear a certain style. It's either hip hop or house or, it's
Mhm.
sort of designed or, pre-intended before coming in. But at these games, you've got people from all walks of life who like different types of music, right? Do you find with different teams coming in, there may be patterns where, certain states, prefer a certain style of music or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of for the actual opposing team players, like when they're coming in, I mean, it can vary, but for the most part, it's very like they're very hip hop centric and based in terms of the actual athletes from the other teams for the most part. Maybe like they'll ask for some dancehall if like the person grew up maybe in like Miami or New York, or even if they're from here but they're playing for like a team in the US, right? So, but like in terms of like reading a crowd, like for in terms of fans, I just try to like when I'm looking at the fans coming into the game and from like the fans that I see around me, I just try to kind of, you know, when I'm looking at them, I first, just kind of look and see, okay, how old are they? What's their ethnicity? How are they dressed? And then based off that, I'll try to determine in my head, okay, you know what? Maybe, like this fan, they may like Punjabi music, or this fan, they may like, maybe more top 40, more house, or this fan, they may like maybe because they look older, maybe they want to hear 80s or 90s pop music, right? So it's just kind of like it's kind of like the same way that I would even approach whether like I'm playing at a club or like any sort of dance where same way like like you would look at the crowd and say, okay, the crowd looks like this, so I think I should take the in this music direction, whether it be Spanish or hip hop. So I just kind of applied the same principles, whether it's at a club or whether it's for the Raptors 905.
Got it, yeah. And usually in for venues and circumstances like this, people are a bit more open to hearing different styles of music. They almost expect it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like
Yeah, like
hockey. You go to a
yeah,
hockey game, you
yeah,
hear mostly rock, but you'd hear some urban stuff too.
yeah, correct, correct. Yeah, I mean, like for sporting events, like what makes it great is that you're not worried about a dance floor, compared to maybe like a club or a bar where, you're kind of like there's that pressure on you that to keep that dance floor moving to make sure, that you're playing the right music so people are spending money at the bar, they're buying bottles. Whereas, as opposed to a basketball game, they're not there for you. They're not even there to party. They're just there to watch the actual sport, to watch the actual basketball. So there's like less pressure in terms of even having to maybe mix fast or go in and out of songs and genres. You can kind of take your time playing music. You can play different types of music, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm gonna lose my crowd because I'm playing maybe country, or I'm playing something these people have never heard. Well, as opposed to a club or at least for me, I mean, I definitely take chances on playing music here and there, but I'll be maybe more conservative compared to like a Raptors 905 game where I know, okay, yeah, I can play 5 new songs in a row and I don't have to worry about losing a dance floor or a crowd because they're not there to party, they're not there for me, they're just there to watch like an actual sport.
Correct, yeah. And it's a very subtle thing, but the effect is almost direct because if you take away, the music and the production, if you've just got that silence, live in the stadium, it's not as much fun, right?
No, 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 not at all, not at all. And what's actually funny, speaking of that, is that we actually had to deal with that last season, like not this past season, but part of the 2021-2022 season when they had COVID and we had lockdowns where we had no fans, during the games. Like
Yes.
there was like a stretch of games where we had no fans, and literally I had to play like a background sound effect of like crowd noise,
Yeah.
and that was really kind of challenging, trying to play different sound effects to try to just kind of make it seem as if there are fans there, and like even with like like without fans it was just crazy because even when you're playing certain songs and all, like you can look around, and when there are fans there, fans get into it, but without having fans there, you're just kind of looking at the players, and it was just like a different experience. But you definitely appreciate having live fans in the arena, as compared to just playing to like a empty stadium, where you just have to play sound effects, and even that's not really, doing it justice.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because it's, as DJs, when you're doing sound effects, it's the garnish on the song. And here it's becoming almost, the main song, mixing in sound effects to keep the energy going.
Yeah, 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 100%. It was definitely challenging, but definitely it's something that I'm grateful, like that just made you appreciate having fans in the arena.
Yeah.
100%.
In terms of logistics, so you're given the cues, a couple of days in advance for the
Mhm.
overview of what you're going to be doing in terms of
Yeah.
the template. But when you're actually doing it, so the logistics of starting and stopping, are you taking cues from someone or are you doing
Yes,
that on
yes.
your
So I
own?
have a game operations manager, and basically, yeah, like she would cue me. So I'm on like a headset during the game,
Yeah,
where I can talk to her, she can talk to me, and communicate also with some of the cameramen, and some of and like the other game operation staff as well.
yeah,
Um, so definitely she'll, like, I mean, even though I have the script and all, she'll generally give me the cues, like for certain things where like I know, okay, automatically first quarter timeout, I play like a certain song,
yeah,
then she doesn't really need to cue me. But for certain things, like she'll cue me for if we have dancers or if there's like a special dance performance. Say, for example, they have Jade's hip hop, and they're performing at halftime, or or maybe during a timeout. I'll get cued to play the song, and usually, like the mixes that are made are generally exactly like the length of the timeout. So when it ends, then it goes back into gameplay. But sometimes, like I will have to get cued to say, okay, yeah, you know what, fade out the song because we're going to be getting back into gameplay.
correct. Yeah. So it's no different than, the show band on Letterman or, a show band in a musical setting where you
Yeah, I
have
mean,
to,
I think it's pretty similar in terms of I mean, in terms of whether it's a TV show or even like a live artist, in that you're dealing on the in the DJ side, you're dealing more with like production really, and it's like because they want to give you like a nice live entertainment product more than just basketball, but they want to add in music, dancers, whether it be like special entertainment acts, could be like violinist, could be someone that does like ballet, whatever, right? Just to kind of add different elements. And it's the same thing. I like, I mean, I would assume it would be quite similar to like a Letterman or like a Conan um, O'Brien, if you're playing in a band on the show, or if you're DJing on the show, where you have cues to play songs at certain points and to cut at certain points.
correct. Yeah. That same sort of musical director concept. You're
Yeah,
taking cues from, the production manager and going back and forth.
correct, correct, correct.
And when you're doing this, you have to be sharp, you have to be alert, you
Mhm.
have to know how to manage energy.
Yeah.
And that means even if, you're having a bad day or if, you're not feeling well or, it doesn't matter, right? Like that's where the professional comes in.
Right. Correct. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, with me, one thing like, and the one blessing at least I can say about DJing is, no matter the day I'm having, whether it be good or bad, I never kind of bring that to me to the DJ booth. I just because I love playing music, so I just honestly look at it as like, I like the way I look at it is that it's like a blessing. So, even if I'm having like the worst day, once I'm on those turntables, I forget about what's going on in my
Nice.
life or what's going on around me. I just kind of focus on what I'm doing, and I'm happy that I'm doing it. And then, anything else, that I have to deal with, I deal with. But at that time, I'm just kind of locked into what I have to do. And like I also feel blessed that, I get paid to do something that I love. So it's definitely like a good thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's the proof that music is therapy, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
having a bad day and if you can use music as an audience participant, right, to receive that blessing,
Yeah.
or on the production side where you're giving out that blessing, right? And you're the recipient of that as well.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. 100%. 100%. 100%. Yeah, man. Like, definitely they say music is like food for the soul. And I definitely feel that way. I'm like 100%. Like, no matter what's going on, like there's like a song for every type of mood that we have, whether we're happy, sad, angry, mad, so it's definitely like a blessing.
The entertainment production factor, say in Toronto, I know maybe compared to other stadiums in the US where they, have the same basketball games, is it more or less the same, or do you think Toronto's doing things that are maybe unique to the other stadiums, or?
I mean, I would think, I mean, I haven't unfortunately attended any of the other G League teams games, but like I'm hoping next season I will. But I mean, I would assume it's the same. Like I have watched a few games on NBA TV when the Raptors 905 were on the road.
Yeah,
And from like I'm not sure if you've ever watched NBA TV, but usually during the timeouts, they don't go to any commercials. What they do is they'll just stay in the actual stadium,
yeah.
and then they'll just like they'll just kind of film whatever is going on. So it could be like a contest where they're giving away T-shirts, or it could be like an actual contest where says maybe someone is shooting for like a prize, which is like very similar to what we do, at least from the games that I've watched. And from what I've noticed, it's pretty much the same in terms of like the production, the in-game production with what we do for like the Raptors 905. Maybe like the contest may be different, but I'm finding it's end of the day it's just quite similar,
Yeah.
if not the same for certain things. So
Got it. Yeah. And what about the company as an establishment? Anything, coming up down the line in terms of, their entertainment production? Are they going to change anything or keep things the same or, highlight or add anything? Or...
as far as I know, I mean everything would be status quo, but I know usually now is like the off season, so that's usually kind of where they like they regroup and they kind of look to new ways to add things to maybe shake things up or maybe switch things. So usually now is in the off season is when is when they'll come up with ideas. And like what's nice is that over the years, because I've been DJing there for such a long time, they kind of trust me and they actually come to me and they ask me, hey, what do you think about if we change your DJ booth, if we move you, or what do you think about if we do this or we do that? Which is definitely like a nice thing and like a blessing. So usually now during this time is when we come up with changes and ideas, and we'll have meetings sometimes. And then once the season starts, or maybe even preseason, when they'll try to implement some of these changes, and then just kind of see how it works and just kind of roll with it from there.
Where, in your opinion, is the best place to have the DJ booth?
I mean, I think it all depends on the stadium. Like for me, previously, my DJ booth was in like the penalty box for the Mississauga Steelheads, the hockey team that plays there. I was there. Like my DJ booth was in like a penalty box area for years,
Yeah.
and then just this past season, they moved me to behind one of the nets where the visiting players run out, and even the home team for that matter. And I honestly enjoyed that, like my new booth, um, uh, like because I felt like I would talk to more people, I would meet more people, and like I felt that more people could interact with me and would come up and talk to me because a lot of times people didn't even know where the DJ booth was. And like they're like, oh, like the music's great, but I have no idea where you are. So, it's definitely nice to, and like in like my opinion, like I feel being like behind the net is nice because you're kind of like you're close to the action, but you're still able to interact with like the dancers, the other game operations crew, fans, like the players. It's just much easier for people to kind of get to me and to talk to me and to see me.
Got it. And it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, because, it's one thing to hear the music, but to actually, physically see the DJ, and like you're saying, you're interacting with the audience, the players, the dancers that come on,
Yeah.
the kids, for them to see that, because, there's also a visual aspect when you see a DJ, right? It adds to that
Yeah.
energy.
Correct. 100%. 100%. It definitely adds like to like it just adds like it shows that we have live entertainment and we're not just like we're not just playing songs off Spotify upstairs in like a press box, right? So definitely it's like a good thing.
Because some people might not even know there's a DJ, right? I mean, they just think it's CD playing or something, or, MP.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know. And like what they've been doing now this season and like they have been doing this the past few seasons is they'll have a camera on me for like a timeout segment where I where they'll have my name on screen so I'll be on the actual Jumbotron and then they'll post my Twitter and Instagrams where people can tweet songs or send songs, songs and that they would like to hear. So and definitely now I think if you come before the game you or even during the game like you will see me on the screen. So it's definitely like a good thing.
No, that's good. I'm glad that's set up that way. And if I can ask you finally, just because
Sure.
it's the music's urban and you've got the experience in hip hop, what is your thoughts on the current state of hip hop, specifically in Toronto? I mean, it's hard to think, can anyone get, bigger than Drake? He's
Yeah.
the
Um,
pastime, he's taken up that spot. Are we sort of on the dwindling edge, or is it something that's sort of like a stalwart where we're just sort of coasting along? What are your
um,
thoughts on that?
I think in terms of the hip hop in Toronto or even in Canada, I think it can definitely get. I feel it was at a great place a few years back. I feel now it's kind of taken a bit of a dive in terms of musically. I feel like a lot of artists just sound the same, and it's sounding a bit it's sounding watered down in like general terms. I mean, like there are a few artists that still are, making incredible music, but for the most part, overall, I find that it's kind of dropped. And I mean, I don't think we'll ever have another Drake. I think we'll have some great artists after him. I don't think we'll ever have anyone like Drake. Like Drake is a once in like a generation, you know, type of talent, like the way you have like uh uh Jordan in basketball, a LeBron James, like a Sidney Crosby in hockey. Like you'll have that's
Yeah.
what Drake is, right? I think we have like some talented artists, but I definitely think that the music can improve and can get better.
Yeah. And maybe it's also it had its moment in time and it was very, very important in shaping the culture of Toronto because
Yeah.
it played a big role, in Toronto, being known as an urban city, an East
Mhm.
End urban city.
No, correct. I mean, and like if you think about it, we're lucky. We have the biggest rapper slash artist in the world in Drake. We have the biggest singer in the world in The Weeknd. And it's like you can't get bigger than that. Like I mean, in the past 10 years, I can't think of any other cities that has such a big R&B act, pop act, and a big rap act. Like even if you go to Atlanta, New York, LA, they've not had two at the same time, and we've been lucky that we've had Drake and The Weeknd, and and if you count maybe on like even though he's maybe not from GTA, but like a Justin Bieber, and then on the lower end like a Jesse Reyes, like a Daniel Caesar, like a Nav, like a Tory Lane. So like there's definitely talent here.
Yeah, and you know what? Those names you mentioned, it's again living proof that Toronto does have a very high standard for arts and entertainment. And I'm
Of
glad
course.
there's, people like you doing it in the field because you're bridging the gap, between the audience, the athletes, the music, the
Yeah.
corporates, everyone together, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of look at us DJs, we're kind of like the liaison between the fans and the athletes in some cases and the actual singers and like uh rappers too as well, right? Because we're out in the field every day and we can kind of, provide them with the feedback and be like, yeah, this song works, this song doesn't work, right? So it's definitely like a crazy thing for us
Yeah,
to experience.
you just might be more important than, the air in the basketball, right? So
Yeah.
listen,
Appreciate
thanks
that.
again for coming on the podcast and
Yeah,
sharing
not a
your
problem.
experience with
Appreciate
us.
it.
If people want to get a hold of you, see where you're playing, maybe where's the best way for them to reach you?
Best way is probably Instagram, which is at DJ Andre 905. Also I'm on Twitter at DJ Andre 905. I'm on TikTok. I don't post as much on TikTok, but like I have a few reels that I will be posting on TikTok in the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, definitely Instagram and Twitter are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. And I also have a Facebook fan page, DJ Andre 905. But yeah, you can definitely get a hold of me through those methods.
Okay, amazing. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. And I wish you well.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate this.